Oakwood Mansion, a name that sends shivers down the spine of anyone who hears it. A name whispered in hushed tones, often in the dead of night when the world is asleep and shadows come alive. A place shrouded in darkness and fear, where the air is thick with the weight of untold stories and lingering spirits. Built in 1852, this grand estate was the pride of Jonathan Reed, a wealthy industrialist whose ambition knew no bounds. Reed, a man of ambition and secrets, poured his fortune into the mansion. He spared no expense, ensuring that every corner of the house reflected his immense wealth and status. The finest materials, the most exquisite designs, and the latest innovations of the time were all employed to create a home that was nothing short of a masterpiece. It was a monument to his success, a tangible representation of his life's work and achievements. But beneath the opulent facade, tragedy lurked, waiting to strike and shatter the illusion of perfection. Reed's wife Eleanor died within the mansion walls, her life cut short by a mysterious and sudden illness. A sudden illness, the doctor had said, but whispers of something more sinister began to circulate among the staff and townsfolk. Then, his only daughter Abigail succumbed to a mysterious fever. Grief consumed Jonathan Reed, leaving him a shadow of the man he once was. He became a recluse, haunted by the ghosts of his past and the memories of his lost loved ones. The once lively mansion grew silent, its halls echoing with the sorrow of its master. One stormy night, Reed vanished without a trace, leaving behind only questions and a legacy of despair. Some say he couldn't bear the sorrow and chose to end his suffering, while others believe the mansion itself claimed him, adding another soul to its collection. Oakwood stood silent, abandoned. Years turned into decades, and the once grand estate fell into disrepair, its former glory now a distant memory. The once grand estate fell into disrepair, but the stories remained, growing more elaborate with each passing year. Whispers of cold spots, unexplained noises, and shadowy figures became common tales among the locals, each one adding to the mansion's eerie reputation. Locals claimed the mansion was cursed, haunted by the spirits of Reed and his family, their restless souls unable to find peace. Oakwood Mansion became a beacon for paranormal investigators, drawn to its tragic history and unsettling energy. We were no different, compelled by the stories and the promise of uncovering the truth. Tonight we step into the darkness, ready to confront the unknown. With every creak of the floorboards and every whisper of the wind, we inch closer to the secrets that Oakwood Mansion holds. The shadows beckon, and we are here to answer their call. The air crackled with anticipation. The fog that enveloped Oakwood Mansion seemed almost alive, swirling and shifting as if it had a mind of its own. It was as if the mansion itself was breathing, exhaling a mist that carried whispers of its dark past. We unloaded our gear, each piece a weapon against the encroaching darkness. The equipment was more than just tools. They were our lifelines, our only means of communication with the other side. Every item had been meticulously chosen, tested and retested to ensure it could withstand the rigors of the night ahead. EMF detectors, sensitive to the slightest fluctuation in electromagnetic fields, were our first line of defense. These devices could pick up on the faintest of energy changes, alerting us to the presence of something otherworldly. The flickering lights on the detectors were like beacons guiding us through the unseen. Infrared cameras, their lenses searching for anomalies invisible to the naked eye, were our eyes in the dark. These cameras could capture the heat signatures of entities that existed beyond our realm, revealing shapes and movements that would otherwise go unnoticed. Every shadow, every flicker on the screen was a potential clue. Digital voice recorders, ready to capture the whispers of the unseen, were perhaps our most eerie tools. These devices could pick up on electronic voice phenomena or EVPs, allowing us to hear the voices of spirits trying to communicate. The silence of the room would be broken by disembodied voices, sending chills down our spines. and finally our courage. For tonight we venture into the belly of the beast. Each of us took a moment to steel ourselves, to prepare mentally and emotionally for what lay ahead. The mansion loomed before us, a silent sentinel guarding its secrets. Lead investigator. The drive to Oakwood was tense. The closer we got, the more palpable the tension became. It was as if the mansion was drawing us in, pulling us towards its heart of darkness. The road seemed to stretch on forever, each mile bringing us closer to the unknown. The setting sun cast long shadows, painting the mansion in an ominous light. The play of light and shadow on the facade gave the building an almost sentient quality, as if it were watching us, waiting for us to make our move. As we pulled up to the rusted gates, a cold wind whipped through the trees. The wind carried with it a sense of foreboding, a chill that seemed to penetrate to our very bones. It felt like a warning, a final chance to turn back before crossing the threshold into the unknown. It felt like a warning. We were entering a place untouched by time, frozen in its sorrow. The gates creaked open, revealing a path that led into the heart of the mansion's darkness. Every step we took echoed with the weight of history, of lives lived and lost within those walls. Tech specialists. My team, seasoned investigators, all shared a look. It was a look of understanding, of shared experience. We had been through this before, faced down our fears and come out the other side, but there was something different about tonight, something that set Oakwood apart from any other investigation. We had faced down our fair share of paranormal encounters. Each one had left its mark, a memory etched into our minds, but Oakwood was different. It was as if the mansion itself was alive, its very walls pulsing with a malevolent energy. But something about Oakwood felt different. The air was thicker, the atmosphere more charged. It was as if the mansion was aware of our presence, and it was not pleased. The energy shift was palpable, a tangible force that pressed down on us, making it hard to breathe. It felt heavier, more profound. The weight of the past hung in the air, a silent witness to the tragedies that had unfolded within those walls. Every step we took was a step deeper into the mansion's history, into the lives and deaths of those who had called it home. This wasn't just a haunted house, it was a mausoleum of despair, a place where the past and present collided in a cacophony of sorrow and loss. The very air seemed to hum with the echoes of the past, a symphony of sadness that resonated deep within our souls. It was a mausoleum of despair, and we were about to unlock its secrets. With a final collective breath, we stepped forward, ready to face whatever awaited us within the dark, haunted halls of Oakwood Mansion. The night was just beginning, and the unknown lay before us, waiting to be discovered. The heavy oak door creaked open, releasing a musty odor. The air inside was stagnant, thick with the weight of ages. Dust motes danced in the faint moonlight filtering through boarded-up windows. The silence was deafening, broken only by the sound of our own breathing, lead investigator. We stepped inside, our senses on high alert. The grand foyer, once a testament to Reed's wealth, now stood in ruins. The ornate chandelier hung precariously from the ceiling, its crystals coated in dust. Cobwebs draped the once majestic staircase leading to the shadows above. The temperature dropped noticeably, a shiver ran down my spine, and I knew we weren't alone. Every creaking floorboard, every rustling curtain sent a jolt of adrenaline through me. The air grew heavy, making it hard to breathe. The mansion was alive. It was watching us, judging our every move. We had entered a realm where the veil between our world and the next was thin. There was no turning back.
The ballroom was once the heart of Oakwood Mansion. Now it was a cavernous space filled with shadows and decay. As we stepped inside, the temperature plummeted. Our breath hung in the air, visible in the beams of our flashlights. The air grew heavy with anticipation. We were not alone. Suddenly, a cold spot settled over us. The EMF detector in my hand spiked, its red light flashing wildly. "There's something here with us," I whispered, my voice tight with apprehension. Just then a white mist began to coalesce near the far end of the ballroom. It swirled and pulsed, taking on a vaguely human form. The figure, tall and gaunt, seemed to glide effortlessly across the dance floor. It moved with a mournful grace, its spectral form shimmering in the darkness. We watched in stunned silence as the apparition moved towards us, its empty eyes fixed on our group. The library of Oakwood Mansion was a testament to Jonathan Reed's love of knowledge. Now it was a tomb of forgotten stories and unspoken words. The once grand shelves, now draped in cobwebs, held volumes that had not been touched in decades. Each book seemed to whisper its own tale of neglect and abandonment. The air hung heavy with the scent of decaying paper and leather. As we set up our equipment, a palpable sense of unease settled over us. The oppressive atmosphere seemed to press down on our shoulders, making every breath feel labored. It was as if the very walls of the mansion were watching us, waiting to see what we would uncover. The silence was broken only by the soft crackle of our walkie-talkies. We were ready to communicate with the other side. Each of us felt the weight of the moment, knowing that we were about to step into the unknown. The tools of our trade, EMF meters, EVP recorders, and infrared cameras, were our only defense against whatever might be lurking in the shadows. "Jonathan, Eleanor, Abigail," I called out, my voice echoing through the stillness. "Are you here with us?" Silence. The names hung in the air, unanswered, as if the spirits were deciding whether to reveal themselves. The anticipation was almost unbearable, each second stretching into an eternity. Then a faint whisper, barely audible above the static of the recorder. We huddled around the device, listening intently. The whisper was elusive, like a breeze rustling through the pages of an old book. It was a moment of connection, a bridge between our world and theirs. The voice, thin and reedy, seemed to be coming from the far corner of the library, where a grandfather clock stood frozen in time. "Get out," it rasped. The words sent a chill down our spines, the kind that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. It was a command, clear and unmistakable. The voice was filled with a deep, abiding sorrow. It was a plea, a warning from beyond the grave. The emotion in the voice was palpable, a mixture of fear and desperation. It was as if the spirit was trapped, unable to move on, and was begging us to leave before we too became ensnared in its fate. We were treading on sacred ground, and the spirits of Oakwood were not pleased. The air grew colder, and the sense of unease intensified. It was clear that we were not welcome, and that our presence was disturbing the delicate balance between the living and the dead. We had come seeking answers, but what we found was a warning. Some doors are better left unopened.